Welcome back to Newslink. And the 2022 Trek4Mandela expedition wrapped up with a successful summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. It's in honor of Madiba's legacy and, most importantly, raising funds to support the dignity of young girls. Now, the summit was also a momentous occasion for Nelson Mandela Foundation CEO Sello Hatang, who conquered the mountain with his daughter Lethabo. And then also joining us is our very own Sekaraba Mufukwane, who was part of that exhibition as well. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Lethabo, I want to start with you. You know, I mean, it sounds like such a scary experience to summit the Kilimanjaro. And when you decided to do this in honor of Madiba's legacy, talk us through that process of decision and how you mentally and physically prepared for that.
Thank you. So for me personally, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but it was just never the right time. But this year I jumped on the opportunity and I was like, I'm going to do it. So with training, it was a lot of intense training, trying to get my breathing and everything and my legs to actually get me up the mountain. So yes, that was basically it.
So Karaba, you are nodding vigorously, and I remember your entire eating habits changed and the workouts and the mental preparation. Talk us through that, because this was your first experience as well, and no doubt a very challenging one.
It was, and it was the first of many, I'd say, you know. And thank you very much for the support I got here at E, my family, my friends. You know, it wasn't easy preparing for this, for the expedition. It took at least about 7 months to prepare. And it's, like Lethabo said, it's intense. It's ruthless. You have to do mountain training, you have to do stairs, you have to do in-between personal training. And I think for me, what was worse is I had to prepare to document this expedition. So not only did I need to be physically prepared, but also the workload. I had to be prepared for the workload that I was gonna film throughout the expedition. So it was challenging, but it had to be done.
And Sello, of course, it's not just something that you experience in terms of summiting Mount Kilimanjaro. There is a purpose behind Trek4Mandela. Talk us through that.
No, thank you very much. I think for us, it's as the foundation, being associated with the Mbumba Foundation means that we can begin to restore the dignity of those who cannot provide for themselves when it comes to sanitary pads. And I was telling them that I remember as a child that my mother was so strict around education that even when you fake to be having men's flu, you know, men flu, that we generally die when we have men flu. And my sisters, I would see that we would be forced to go to school, but my sisters were never forced to go to school, which meant that my mother had to face the indignity every time whenever they went on their menstruation to say, you can't go because I can't provide for you. And when we went to a school in Tanzania to hear what the children are using at the moment, because we went to visit 2 schools, and they're using cloth, which they then have to wash every now and then. They're using dung, which they have to then get through the schooling process with. And when we went to the school, the most moving moment was how they said, Tanzania, we love you so much, yet Tanzania doesn't provide that basic thing. And we would then be doing that for 10 countries this year to mark the 10th anniversary.
And it's so important to understand that it cannot just be one organization or a group of foundations, Sello, to tackle issues of this nature. There has to be a government will and a political want to make sure that issues of this nature are tackled alongside foundations like yours.
Precisely. That's why we work with governments across the continent. We'll be reaching out to our High Commissioner in Tanzania. We've reached out to the governments in Botswana, Lesotho. So it would be about 10 countries that we're working with. And I think if governments were to do more, it means that their privilege does not just belong to Lethabo, whose father and mother can provide, but it should be for every child who has the yearning for schooling, that they must be able to get that opportunity. And those opportunities then pass girls by because of just a natural phenomenon. that it shouldn't be the case.
Letaba, talk us through some of the engagements that you had with the people, maybe even before the trek, you know, and the kind of challenges they face, and how important initiatives of this nature are for the change that we all want to see across the African continent.
It's very important to help these girl children, because even before this, I went to a few schools last year trying to help in any way I can, and it's disappointing to see that there are so many out there who aren't as privileged, who are still going through these challenges. But it's amazing to see how appreciative they are, and also how loving and supportive they are of us. And the fact that I was able to climb Kili and do this for them was amazing, because they don't even know me, but they just have so much love for me and are so grateful that I did something, and I'm also beyond words. So
did you
happy.
feel the love as well, Sakaraba, when you were there?
I did, and before that, Rafiwa, I just want to pick up on what Letabo and Selo said. You know, their personal achievements attached to this, and I come here in studio with a certificate I received from from Tanzania on summiting Kili. You know, but this is a personal achievement for me, but there are other achievements which we have done, and picking up on what they said, we had to remember why we're doing this. It wasn't about us. The bigger cause was championing the dignity of young girls in South Africa, creating the awareness and taking away the stigma that is attached to it. I think Silo touched on the fact that there are young boys in South Africa, when they do distributions, that young girls are reluctant to receive the pads because of the giggles, the laughs they receive from young boys. So we still have a long way to go. And we as ENC, as a broadcaster, we wanted to partner with this because of the audience we touch, so that the message can be spread, the awareness can be created, and also that people from far across South Africa and beyond can learn that it is not a shame. It is something natural that comes to a young girl every month. Therefore, why is it that they should be isolated during that time of the month, you know, and miss a couple of days of school? It can't be that in modern day South Africa, society still behave like that. So it was upon us climbers, it is upon everybody in South Africa, it is upon everybody who's watching, you know, to heed that call and champion the dignity and pride of young girls in South Africa.
That is so important. Silo, I visited Rwanda a couple of years back, and I actually did a story around sanitary towels and the provision in schools. And it was encouraging to see that in the village schools in that country, they are provided for freely to the young girls. And it touches on Sigaraba's point in that a girl does not need to miss one day of school, because when she's on her menstrual cycle, she can go to school and have access to the sanitary pads that she would need. Encouragingly as well, we do know that they come with pain, and they've also got a room where a girl can take some time out and, you know, relax and feel better, or take some medication should she need to in school, so that she doesn't miss out on anything. Is there an opportunity for South Africa to draw on examples like this? I don't know. Do we have a lack of resources? What is it that is holding us back from starting out or creating bigger projects like what we're seeing in Rwanda, for example?
I think it's political will. South Africa has the resources to be able to provide for her people in a way that begins to normalize menstruation, for example. It hurts so deeply to see a girl that you walk through the school and they come through to Richard Mabaso, for example, the founder of the initiative, to come to him. I remember we went to Klerksdorp, and they came to him and said, I didn't know what I was going to do tomorrow because my periods are starting tomorrow. And if we were to begin to say, let's normalize menstruation, that it's not taboo, that the boys must know it's part of the process of growth for women, for young girls, then it means that even the levels of abuse that we find in our society would also then be dealt with. because it means that we're beginning to have boys and girls grow in a way that normalizes stuff that's normal for all of us to know. But the second thing that's important is also about our priorities. I always hear how when you have in bathrooms you have condoms that are dispensed in schools, yet you cannot have the same provision made for sanitary pads. And one is a choice, the other one is natural. So how do you then balance the two? And when we went to the school, we were both moved so deeply to the core of our souls, because you found these girls that are so appreciative that they were asked, do you know what these are? Yes, we do. Do you know how to use them? Yes, we do. Do you have them? No. So when they were asked to indicate by raising hands how many of them needed them, I think in that school only 1% said they didn't need. But 99% of the girls who were in the school hall raise their hands to say they need sanitary pads. So if it's so big in Tanzania, you can imagine in South Africa, where we don't get to go to all rural areas, what happens there.
Yeah, and it must have been so emotional for you, Lethabo, because I'm getting emotional just from Silo accounting that story to us, you know, in that you can't do this for them every day, unfortunately, and that's where the trouble comes. You're doing this for a period and you leave, you know, and you live in hope that government or any other related stakeholders will intervene accordingly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, when I was at the school, it was a lot to take in, because I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, okay, this is an actual problem, like this is serious. And it's like from primary school, these are like younger children, and you could see all of them just with a smile on their face, just happy that someone else is doing this for them, because they cannot do it for themselves. So I'm glad to have just made a small change in their lives.
And you, Sakaraba, you are a father of two girls, so this is obviously very important for you. Yours may be a little bit more privileged than others, but that awareness, and what Silo alluded to, in that it creates awareness not only amongst ourselves as young women, but men as well, that it's normal, and it might reduce instances of violence or animosity towards women. I mean, how important was this experience for yourself because of your family situation?
Absolutely. And I sit here at a point of privilege. You know, my girls are privileged. And at a time when they reach that stage of their life, they'll be privileged enough that I can provide for that. But many others, millions others, don't have that privilege. Therefore, the call is on us as citizens. Heed that call. You know, I speak to many South Africans that, listen, that which eats you up, do something. You know, when we're growing up, there's a song we were singing, brighten the corner where you are. We have a contribution to make as South Africans. Therefore, if I can make this, my corner brighter, and you make yours brighter, South Africa will be a better place for all to live in. You know, not just a few, but for everybody. So I believe that sitting at a point of privilege, I can't be complacent and say, I have it all, my girls have it all. There are a million others who don't have it all. And therefore, it is my call, it is my duty, it is my responsibility that South Africa becomes a better place than sit in a corner and cough out problems, that there are many problems in South Africa, and not take action. So this is but a few of projects which I will be involved in to make South Africa a better place, and not just sit and say, look, I'm fine. I can afford petrol, I can afford my bond, and I can afford everything. But there are many others who sit and not have anything to eat, not have sanitary pads. I can't let that go on. I have to respond to the call and the purpose that I'm here on earth for. We
have run out of time, Sakaraba, but I have to ask you about the trek. How many days? How are your legs? Are you ready to come back to work on Monday? I don't know. I just want to get a sense of what it's like to be on that trek.
I think we came back Thursday morning. I was overwhelmed. And I think today is I woke up and I felt refreshed, and I was taking in the emotions of the 5-day ascending to the mountain. It takes 5 days. It's gruesome. It's ruthless. The mountain is beautiful, but the mountain can reject you. You know, don't go there with so much pride and say I'm fit. It wants the fittest, and it'll show them otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful experience, and thanks to Mr. Hatang and Letabo, you know, I often had to look back when the going was tough. I had to ask myself a lot of questions. Why am I doing this, you know? But I told Mr. Hatang that there are certain people in the group that you draw inspiration and you draw energy from. And whenever I saw him, I was like, "You're here, let's go," you know.
Yeah.
But it was tough. But it's something which was worthwhile. It had to be done, and I'm glad I was part of that experience of making somebody else's life better.
No, absolutely. Guys, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited for you all, and South Africa thanks you for the contribution, even Tanzania, you know, that you've made to changing the lives of young girls across parts of the continent. Thank you very much. That is the Nelson Mandela Foundation CEO, Silo Hatang, Letabo Hatang, and our very own producer, Sikaraba Mufukwane, joining us after their summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, or as Letabo said it, Mount Kili. That sounds very nice.